She predicted her own murder on video and posted it online. 13 days later, she was dead, and the man responsible had already slipped through the system once. Everyone covered the headlines, but nobody explained what really happened inside that house. Hit subscribe to the Case Bureau because the truth isn't in the news reports. 2 calls reached emergency dispatch just after 11:15 p.m., 40 seconds apart. The first was a woman, her voice audible in distress before the line went dead. The second came from a child inside the same address, telling the operator his stepfather had hurt his mother. Neither call originated from outside the home. No neighbor phoned it in. No passerby noticed anything wrong from the street. Both calls came from within the same 4 walls, moments apart, describing the same event from 2 different vantage points. By the time officers arrived in Owasso, Oklahoma, the outcome was already fixed. Sara Gilson was 43, a hairstylist in Owasso, a suburb north of Tulsa. Clients described her chair as more than a place for a haircut, a spot where people talked through whatever they were carrying that week. Online, she built an audience of more than 30,000 followers on TikTok, mixing everyday moments with a small clothing and jewelry business. She was raising 2 teenage children from an earlier relationship. Nothing in her public presence hinted at a legal battle unfolding behind the scenes. To anyone scrolling past her page that summer, her life looked ordinary, even upbeat. In June 2026, a coach on a youth basketball team witnessed something involving a 15-year-old girl on the roster, serious enough that he intervened on the spot. He reported it to her parents that same day. The man accused was Shawn Duffey, a longtime coach across the Tulsa area, trusted enough over the years that families routinely left their daughters in his care. The allegation, that he had kissed and touched the teenager while supervising her, then offered her money to stay silent. When confronted directly, Duffy left the scene, rather than answer for what he'd been accused of. The girl's mother went to court that same day and filed for a protective order against Duffy, the opening legal document in a case that would eventually reach far past one gym and one team. Police were notified immediately, and what they learned in the following hours would reshape the entire direction of the investigation. The basketball program itself had no formal tie to the local school district. It was simply borrowing a school gym for the summer. A minor scheduling detail, but one that would carry unexpected weight once the jurisdictional question came into focus. Jeremiah Duffy is a member of the Osage Nation, and the incident had occurred on land legally classified as Indian country. That single fact shifted jurisdiction away from Owasso police the moment it was confirmed. Under the Federal Major Crimes Act, authority over the case moved to the United States Attorney's Office. Local officers had moved quickly, referring the case within days, but a federal review doesn't run on a local court's timeline. Weeks passed without an update. No charge was ever filed against Duffy for the allegation involving the teenager, not from doubt, but from a stalled process. The same day Sara learned what her husband stood accused of, she filed her own emergency protective order, alleging he owned a firearm, had threatened suicide, and had fled rather than face the accusation. A judge granted it immediately, ordering Duffy out of their shared home and at least 100 yards from her at all times. It wasn't her first attempt. Records show she'd filed twice before in 2021, both dismissed after she didn't appear at the hearings. This time, she had a specific, documented allegation behind her, and an order extended again on June 23rd. By July, a TikTok trend was circulating in which users sat as if being interviewed for a documentary, revealing something private. On July 11th, Sara posted her version, saying she was preparing for the day a streaming platform told her soon-to-be ex-husband's story. Someone she'd just learned was a predator. Her caption read, "I wish I was joking." Within 2 weeks, the video passed 6 million views, reaching an audience that had never encountered her before. A private legal matter, moving quietly through the courts for weeks, had suddenly become something the public could see in real time. That same week, both protective orders, Sara's and the teenagers, were extended again, with the presiding judge explicitly waiting on the outcome of the federal referral against Duffy. That outcome never came. No indictment, no charge, nothing beyond the paper terms of a restraining order to keep him at a distance. Investigators later confirmed a detail that stands out in hindsight. Before July 23rd, not one violation of Sara's protective order had been reported. No calls, no complaints, no documented contact of any kind. By every record on file, the order appeared to be holding. Just after 11:15 p.m., officers responded to the address in Owasso following the 2 dispatch calls. They found Sara and Jeremiah Duffy both dead inside the home, in what investigators are treating as a murder-suicide. Police say Duffy entered the home that night in direct violation of the order that had stood since June, the same order with no prior reported breach. The child who placed the second call was found physically unharmed, taken into protective custody as standard procedure, and later released to a parent uninvolved in the events of that night. The murder-suicide investigation moved toward a close, but the separate federal case involving the teenager did not end with Duffy's death. It stayed open with the U.S. Attorney's Office on its own timeline. Family and neighbors described Sara as present, warm, and fully devoted to her 2 children, now being raised without her. A fundraiser was started to support them. What's left behind isn't a resolved story, but an open one. A federal case that outlived the man at its center, and a question about what protection means when the paperwork holds, but the danger doesn't stop.